Today, I'd like to talk about the leadership problem in America. The leadership problem begins in the family, but it extends to law enforcement, government, and most notably of late, the church. We can even find it in the highest office in the land. You see, because we don't think as we used to think because we're too smart to have the basic understanding of what it takes for a just society and civilization. And when I say it starts with the family, that means you have to have a head, a mother, and then you have your children. But you have to discipline those children and give them a structure or framework in which to live. And then based on that family structure, all the other entities of the society will all emulate. Because if you have good people serving other people, they're just and fair, then you won't have a problem. But if you start the family off wrong, those same people that don't know how to conduct themselves, and I'm talking about across the color spectrum, they get in the offices and they do the things that they were taught at home. They do things that they're not supposed to do. And we know we have a leadership problem. We can tell that we're going to continue to have one, and we just let it happen. This is one of the things that you have to face is that it's institutional power. And when you challenge institutional power, they respond fiercely. But if you be silent, you allow injustice to continue unchecked. I was watching something that led me to bring this up. It was talking about a neurosurgeon, a black neurosurgeon, getting profiled and almost arrested just because she was there in an aisle in the store. And she made someone feel uncomfortable being there because she had sweatpants, a sweatshirt on, okay? But the obvious fact that I didn't say is she was black and the person she made uncomfortable was white. So we understand the dynamics of that. There's a dual system here, and there's also, with black folks, a lot of times we have to have a dual consciousness. At all times, whether you in corporate law, or you're a doctor, whatever you are, you black first, and you have to prepare yourself for the harassment and whatever else you may get. And it's not only us, it's people of color, because I'm not actually, here to actually just talk about black folks. I'm talking about people, period, because that's what we are, you see. But most people have decided that they wanted a divided country where they can have their comfortable places and live just like they tell you American dream. And then the other people can suffer. But when they start suffering, it's a problem. What this neurosurgeon said was that she felt the weight of every black professional who has ever been diminished despite their achievements. And I started thinking, well, wow. She has money to fight that. She, prestige and the resources and the platform in which to do so, because when you're in these high-powered jobs and everything else, you meet other high-powered people who may not look like you but may support you, and therefore gives you a broader platform in which to challenge a system, because that's what we work against. We work against a system, structural system, systemic, and built to last. And we can take that all the way back to the Willie Lynch, even though they said it's not true. All you have to do is really listen and look in that book, and you'll find out everything is true. You said Project 2025 wasn't true. And I can see every day there's executive orders addressing all of those issues. See, we have a leadership problem. And when you have a leadership problem, the people serving under that leader are going to be actually supporting him because they're too fearful to challenge him. They know, and most people know, and this is why I guess I answered my own question. What would you do when you face with a coordinated intimidation attack on you, your family, or your community? Would you stand up for justice? Or would you weigh the options of your personal costs, which may be too high? Malcolm X, Martin Luther, and a whole host of other people have paid the ultimate price for standing up for justice and their people. But I think that we need to get back to ground zero. We need to start looking at the families and you have to create better people. But you have to be the example in which your kids follow, because they hear and see everything you do. You may think they're not listening, but they do. They're just like puppets. They repeat. Now, leadership problem and the attitudes, because see, when you have a leader who is what a lot of people like to say charismatic and all of that, then you find out a charismatic leader likes to lead in an authoritative way. Yeah? Okay, so you have to deal with that personality also and all the things that come with that. See, they may support systematic and racism or the separation of wealth from some people, rich people versus poor people, because they're actually trying to take the middle class out. And now all of a sudden it's a problem because not everybody that's European is rich. And any time a black person may be rich, he still has to, or they still have to contend with their color. Okay? Because the system don't want you to even be here. But they can't do without you, they said. But naked prejudice is when somebody felt uncomfortable because she was just there. I felt uncomfortable. You've heard that time many, many times. I mean, you could get arrested on that premise. Guilty for being who you are or being there, here, everywhere. So I guess the big question is, even when presented with the truth, will leadership and systemic oppression police itself, reform itself? And I don't think so. And me, you, and everybody else not talking loud enough, not saying enough, not galvanizing together to change the leadership and the system, it makes it just like we silent. So we actually complicit by our non-action. It's just a thought.